Hello everyone, all 22 and a Fuel Film Review, giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, giving you guys analysis on every pick based upon how I feel they went according to my big board, positionally who's left on the board, kind of team needs, their fit with the team. We have role projections and path to starting for every pick. So if you want to know more about the Panthers class we're going to be covering today, or any of the other 31 classes, make sure you stay tuned as we get through all 32 classes here. Going to be a lot of analysis coming out. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on the video so far. Now, if you have questions about anything you're seeing up on the board, up on your screen, it's going to be down in the description. Everything's down in the description. If it's not, come scream at me in the comments so I can make sure it gets in there. Without further ado, let's hop into the Panthers class here. My 25th overall class coming in with a B grade, very solid class, a numerical grade of 3.0283. That numerical grade coming from the equation that I created for you guys, so we can have more of a concrete feel about how I feel about every team's draft, especially ones with the same letter grade, so you guys can see how they stack up and rank against each other. Kind of just a fun exercise that we can come back to later, see where I was right, where I was wrong. More about the grades and the analysis here. Let's hop into it. Their first pick, they take Tedero McMillan, a wide receiver out of Arizona, Nick Scordon, an edge out of Texas A&M, Princely Unman-Mielen, an edge out of Ole Miss, Trevor Etienne, a running back out of Georgia, Lathan Ransom, a safety out of Ohio State, Cam Jackson, an IDL out of Florida, Mitchell Evans, a tight end out of Notre Dame, and Jimmy Horn Jr., a wide receiver out of Colorado. Like I said, a B for this class, very, very, very solid class. Just didn't hit some positions of need that I wanted to as early as they did. Some trade-ups that I don't think they necessarily had to make would allow them to free up some other picks later. Let's hop into it. As we talk about these letter grades, try to keep in mind that everything's going into these grades. It's not just how I feel about the player, but it's their scheme fit, who's left on the board positionally, their path to starting. If there's trade compensation, that's going to be factored into the grade as well. So if you trade it up, and I don't think you necessarily need to, that might bring the grade down a little bit. So keep that in mind as we go through all the grades here. First, we have Tedero McMillan taken at number 8, a wide receiver out of Arizona. No trade compensation on this pick. I love this pick for them, an A for me. He was my 5th ranked player in the entire class. They take him at 8, so I think it's very nice value. He was technically my 2nd wide receiver. If you view Travis Hunter as a wide receiver, he barely edged out McMillan for me, but I think those guys are in very similar tiers. A 6'4", 219-pound X-style receiver, going to be on your outside running a lot of digs, a lot of that dirty work on the outside, a lot of contested catches. I love Tedero McMillan, man. So glad they took him with this pick. An A for me. I thought, they might have gone Jalen Walker here. There was a lot of smoke coming around that they wanted an edge, that they were really interested in Jalen Walker. Really happy they didn't take him here. I like Jalen Walker a lot as a player, just a very, very big project to me. I think the top 10 was very, very early for me. Tedero McMillan, obviously my 5th ranked player. This is incredibly worth it. Helps out their receiving room a ton. They didn't have a true X-style receiver there. Adam Thielen kind of works their slot. It's a tiny bit of X work in there just because of his size, but he's more of a slot. Xavier Legette's going to fit better as a C role for them. So I like that a lot, especially considering kind of the question marks they have at receiver. Adam Thielen is on his way out of that building here pretty soon. You can't keep relying on him at that age. And, Xavier Legette flashed a bit last season. You still don't 100% know what you have there in him. So I like bringing in another guy, especially one that's as safe as Tedero McMillan, in my opinion. And then you have Jalen Coker there as well, who I like, but, isn't a number 1 guy, probably not going to be a high-end number 2 guy. Not going to keep you from bringing in someone like this in your room. So I really like this for them. An ultra-productive receiver with 84 receptions on 130 targets, 1,319 yards, 8 touchdowns, 15.7 yards per catch, which is insanely good. 7 drops on the season, which can be a bit concerning, but considering he had 130 targets, I'm expecting a couple balls to go awry. More drops than his previous 2 seasons, but again, 130 targets. Last episode, we talked about Arian Smith with the Jets. On only, I think it was 74 targets, had 10 drops. So the fact that he's almost doubling the targets and he has less drops, again, somewhat of a slight concern, but I'm not 100% worried about it at all. I still think this guy is a true separator, even though he's not a super gifted vertical athlete. This guy has insane feet. He's twitchy. He's quick. He can still separate off the line vertically. Just not going to be a burner for you. Super, super athletic with the ball in the air. Can keep his feet down. Super insane, like spectacular type catches, pirouettic type catches. Needs to work a little bit in the contested catch phase, but still like him. Needs to work on a little bit of his physicality throughout his route, not just off the line. I still think he does very well against press off the line, just at his break throughout the route. You know, he can suffer a little bit from contact. Still, not very worried about it. He can grow. It's not like he's already played his best football. Like him a lot, man. Think he's going to do great here. A 2024 first-team All-American and first-team Big 12 selection. Set the Arizona record in single season for receiving yards, and also the single game receiving yard record for Arizona this season. Again, an A for me. I wanted them to go with Tedero McMillan here. I thought he was going to follow this spot. Love it for them. Nick Scordon, their next pick, coming in with the 51st pick, the 19th pick of round 2, an edge out of Texas A&M. They got this pick from trading up with the Broncos, sending over pick 57, 74, 111, and 230 for 51, 85, 122, and 208. So essentially trading up 6 spots, but they're going to move back 11 spots in the 3rd. They're going to move back 11 spots in the 4th, but they're going to move up from the 7th to the 6th. Decent value. Didn't love the straight up necessarily. I like Nick Scordon, 59 on my big board, as you can see. This was about his range, but I did think there was multiple edges I would have preferred over him. Now, I will get into this conversation about Nick Scordon a little bit before I talk more about the trade value and how that's going to affect the pick. Nick Scordon looks so good at Purdue, was much more productive at Purdue, was closer to that 257 weight that you see on your screen. Looked like he was going to be a surefire first-round pick. Transfers to Texas A&M. They make him put on like 20, 30 pounds of weight. He was playing at like 280 or above 280, it looked like. Didn't look like the same player at all. Was trying to win in the same ways, but it just wasn't possible at that weight for him. Now, the fact that he has slimmed down this much really, really, really intrigues me, because if you can get the Purdue version of Nick Scordon, this is an A-plus pick. This is a guy who's probably going to be super good for you off the edge. What would be an absolute steal at this spot. So I understand wanting to get him, but it's still a projection because he is slimming back down. We haven't seen that play since Purdue back in 2023. This last year did not look as great. If you're getting the just last year's version of Nick Scordon, this is probably more of like a B for me. Not a great value. I think there would be a lot more edges that are better for you at this spot. If you're getting the Purdue version, like I said, this is going to be like an A+. Now, factoring in the trade compensation, they traded up 6 spots to get him. I don't think he necessarily had to. If you look at the picks after him, Oluwafemi Oladejo goes after him as an edge, but more of a 3-4 style guy, really fits the Titans mold. I don't think the Titans would have took Nick Scordon, more of a 4-3 type guy, especially with how he played last year at A&M. And then after him, it's, I'm pretty sure, Ben Morrison, Anthony Belton, another lineman, I think another wide receiver, Trey Harris to the Chargers. Yeah, Tate Ratledge to the Lions. It's like a lot of non-edge selections. I don't think he would have had to make the trade up. And if you don't trade up here, you wait till 57, then you're not forced to trade back up to 77 later. You could have stayed at 74, taken Prince Umanmielen at 74. Then you're not forced to trade more picks. And you can keep those picks that you traded to get up to 51 to help your roster down the board, which they needed all the swings they can really get for this team, in my opinion. So that brings it down a little bit to a B+ from an A- to me. If they just sat and picked up 57, more of an A-, because again, it's a little bit more of a projection than other guys that are on the board that can vary from like an A+ to a B, depending on what kind of play you get from him, the Purdue version or the A&M version. So going to be a B+ for me because of the trade up. Still, don't hate the pick. I think he has the potential to be such an electric player for him, especially dropping back down to 257. Again, 59 on my big board, the 8th edge taken off the board, my 12th overall ranked edge, a 6'3", 257-pound edge, going to be 21 during the season, so a young player still, didn't qualify for an RAS. 4 sacks, 4 hurries, 14 TFLs, 37 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 2 PBUs on the season. Was a 2024 first-team SEC selection in his first year at A&M. Again, spent his prior 2 years at Purdue. B+ for me, I like it, but the trade-up kind of brings it down a little bit for me. Their next pick, they go Prince Unman Mielen, an edge at Ole Miss with the 77th pick, the 13th pick of the 3rd round. They sent the Patriots pick 85, which they got from the Broncos, and 146 over for 77, moving up 8 spots here. I love this for them, honestly. If they didn't have to trade up for this pick, like I said, kind of factoring in the trade value of having to trade back up because you traded away 74, it's an A- for me. Also, considering the fact that you doubled up on edge this early when I think outside corner is a very pressing need for you. I think safety is probably the most pressing need for you at this spot. I would like them to get some interior IDL depth. That you brought in Tershawn Newton and Bobby Brown on some, semi-cheap deals. I like some more youth, long-term youth in that room. So there's just other pressing needs other than getting an edge. Also keep in mind these grades were made before Clowney was cut. So they still had Jadeveon Clowney. They had DJ Wanham. They just signed Patrick Jones. That means you're taking Nick Gordon and Prince Unman Mielen. With some of the other backup bodies there, you have a lot of edges in that room. So that factored in to this grade as well. The double up, with having other bodies there. Still, I absolutely love this pick. Like I said, if it wasn't for the trade up, if it wasn't for the double up, going to be an A+ for me. Was 57 on my big board, taken at 77. The 13th edge off the board and my 11th edge ranked personally. So love the value. Absolutely love the value for him in the 3rd round. Just, I get why he falls this far. I didn't love his run defense tape, and apparently there's some character concerns that were coming out. Probably why he falls to the 3rd. But man, if you can get this guy invested into actually defending the run consistently and get him to learn some more pass rush moves than just a straight dip and rip around the edge or a Euro step, oh my gosh. Nick Gordon and Prince Unman Mielen, if they both hit their ceilings in the next few years, can both be top 10 edges in the league. And that's absolutely incredible. Now, if they don't, probably just 2 average bodies that are, pretty solid guys, but just nothing special. But again, if they can hit that upside, absolutely insane. Prince Unman Mielen had some of the just craziest, absolute fastest flash wins of this entire edge class. Insane get off, dips and rips around the edge, Euro steps super well. Has some speed to power in his game too, just not very nuanced. It's not something you're comfortable with him using just yet, but something that you can definitely get him to learn and mold into to add more of a power element to his game. Again, love this value for them, man. These 2 guys, so much potential. I love this for them. I have a feeling even if they don't get both to hit, just one of them could hit, and that's going to do wonders for this team. A 6'4", 244-pound edge, 23, put up an 8.99 RAS. Even tested a little bit worse than I thought he would. This guy was electric on tape, man. 10.5 sacks, 14 hurries, 13.5 TFLs, 37 tackles, and 1 forced fumble on the season. Was a 2024 first-team SEC selection with only 6 starts, played in 12 games, but was only charted with having 6 starts on the season. So first-team selection is kind of crazy with only 6 true starts. I would understand if they weren't giving him true starts because of his run defense and his will to defend the run. Would make sense to me. Was in his first year at Ole Miss, spent the prior 4 years at Florida. An A- again for me. Absolutely love this value for them. Just the trade up when I felt you didn't need to trade up for the Nick Gordon and you could have kept 74 to pick Prince Unman Mielen without trading more picks later. And the fact that you're doubling up this early just brings it down slightly. Still a great pick in my opinion. Their next pick, they go Trevor Etienne, a running back out of Georgia, with the 114th pick, the 12th pick of the 4th round. Getting this pick from the Jonathan Mingo trade, sending Jonathan Mingo over to the Cowboys. It was an I see the vision on this one. Don't get me wrong, I like Trevor Etienne. I think he's a solid back, probably going to take over their 3rd, maybe their 2nd if he really flashes over Rico Dowdle. But I'm projecting him more to be their 3rd back, kind of their scat style back. Just don't love the value and the position here. You're talking about kind of the earlier parts of the 4th round still. Like I said before, I would love them to get an outside corner. Mike Jackson is not someone I'm completely comfortable with starting out there. there's still some solid corners that can compete for some playing time for you at this spot. You talk about, needing a safety. They bring in Trevon Warwick. You really don't have anyone else in that room that's super exciting. Bring in Lathan Ransom to compete with Damani Richardson and just give your room some more just depth and just safety, security. Talk about IDL. There's still a lot of really good IDLs here. I don't mind them taking an RB in this class, especially if Jonathan Brooks can't get back. And after I made these grades, it turns out he isn't going to be back this season. So the pick makes more sense, but still. Talk about who's left on the board. You could have waited till pick 20 and got Dylan Sampson, who I think is just way better as an overall back and still has some good receiving back chops. We talk about Jaden Blue, who goes in the 5th, similar receiving type back, even if Trevor Etienne's probably better of an overall back. Still, you could have waited till the 5th to get him, get a better overall player that's going to be more impactful for your team right now at that spot. You think about DJ Giddens, who flashes some passability, and I just think is a better overall back. All the way in the 7th, LaQuint Allen and Rashard Smith are some great receiving backs that fall all the way down to the 7th. Again, that is the reason why it's an IC division. I just think you could have got way more impactful positions for your team right now and waited 1-2 rounds to get a similarly impactful running back for your team. I don't think he's a terrible player at all still. Just you signed Chuba Hubbard to a fat contract. You just signed Rico Dowdle. I get needing more of a pass catching back, but if you're going to get more of a pass catcher, you could have waited a lot longer and got an IDL that helps you right now. Got a safety that helps you out right now. Got a lot of other positions that maybe would have got some more snaps for you this season. So, and I see the vision. Still not a bad pick, just not the most impactful route they could have gone. A 5'9", 198 back, put up a 6.94 RAS score. In 9 games, had 609 yards, 5 carries, 9 touchdowns, 32 receptions on 33 targets, 194 yards receiving, 0 touchdowns, 2 fumbles this season. Was a 2024 third-team SEC selection in his first year as a true starter. Also gives him a little bit of return specialist value. He had a lot of kick return background before he was starting at Georgia. So a little bit of extra value there. Again, I don't hate the pick, just could have gone a lot more impactful positions at the spot, and I think you could have got a third back or a receiving back that gives you similar value at a later pick. Their next pick, they go Lathan Ransom, a safety out of Ohio State, with the 122nd pick 20 of the 4th round. They got this from a part of the Broncos trade, sending over 57, 74, 111, 230, all of that. So part of that value, a 6 foot, 206 pound, 22.9-year-old safety, going to be 23 at the very start of the season. Put up an 8.85 RAS score, definitely not a bad tester, not a bad mover on tape, not an overwhelming player with that, not overwhelming athleticism on the player, but definitely a mover you're fine with. I like this a lot for them. I think this was around his value, kind of the early 4th, kind of more of a 4th round player, but very, very, very nice player for them. An Ohio State safety with, some decent production, 1 interception, 2 PBU, 9 TFLs, 76 tackles, 14 missed tackles on 76 tackles is not great. 3 forced fumbles. Was a 2024 third-team All-American and first-team Big Ten selection. A guy with some solid experience in that secondary. I like this a lot for them. I wanted them to go safety at some point. Wish they did it earlier. Someone that is going to be much more competitive for that starting job. But Lathan Ransom, I still expect to compete for significant snaps early. Even if he doesn't win that starting job, I still think he has a shot to really flash in camp and maybe take that job sooner, if not later in the season. I think it's good value for him. Just overall, very, very solid pick. Like this a lot. If you're not going to go safety earlier, then Lathan Ransom in the 4th is about as good as you're going to get, in my opinion. Like it a lot for them. Their next pick, they go Cam Jackson, an IDL out of Florida, with the 140th pick, the 2nd pick of the 5th round. They got this from the Brian Burns trade, sending over Brian Burns to the Giants. A lot of extra picks, a lot of movement around for the Panthers in this class. A 6'6", 328-pound interior lineman, 22, going to be 23 at the very start of the season, 3.89 RAS. Didn't put up a lot of athletic testing numbers, but that's not why they're taking him at all. Had some, production you would expect from an interior lineman of this size. 1.5 sacks, 4 hurries, 2 PBUs, 4 TFLs, and 37 tackles. Was a 2-year starter at Florida, spent time at Memphis before Florida, and I like a pick. I think this was right around Cameron Jackson's value, kind of the late 4th, early 5th, anywhere in the 5th. I would have been very, very happy getting him. Just a true size nose tackle. You're not taking him to give you a bunch of sacks. You're not taking him to make a bunch of splash plays. You're taking him just to eat a bunch of space in the middle on early downs and just free up some of your other defensive linemen, give them some more rest, and allow them to be fully juiced up for pass rush situations. Like I said before, they bring in Bobby Brown, they bring in Tershawn Newton. I hope I'm not. I'm pretty sure it's Tershawn Newton. I hope I'm not butchering that one. But they bring him in. I like this a lot. Like I said, I wanted them to bring in some more IDL depth, some younger depth, some long-term depth. This guy is probably going to get some decent, not starting, but rotational early snaps. Like I said, giving relief to your other guys on the line, so they're more ready for their pass rush snaps. I like this a lot. Like I said, around his value, a position I wanted them to target somewhere in the class. Maybe not with one of their top 3 picks, but somewhere in the class. I like this a lot for them. Their next pick, they go Mitchell Evans, a tight end out of Notre Dame. The 163rd pick of the draft, the 27th pick of the 5th round. They got this from the Deontay Johnson trade, sending over Deontay Johnson to the Ravens last season during the middle of the season. This got an IC division. I like Mitchell Evans. I think this was around his range. I think if he was coming in to be their surefire tight end 2, I would like this. But they just took Jatavion Sanders last year. They have Tremble. I'm forgetting his first name. I'm so sorry I'm forgetting his first name. Tommy Tremble. So I don't think, he's going to come in and immediately be their tight end 1, tight end 2. If you're drafting a tight end 3, I think you can trade down from the spot, wait till your 6th round pick, get a guy that's going to put in some similar snaps, going to have some similar upside for you. Again, if he was taking us more of the tight end 2, I would see it. Just don't know how many snaps he's going to get year 1. Like I said, they could have waited for a tight end 3 and got someone who's going to give them similar snaps down the board. Again, like the vision, or like the value, like the player, just for the team specifically, don't love taking a tight end at the spot for them when you still haven't taken an outside corner just to help that room at all. I think there's more pressing needs for this team. Again, not a terrible player, 6'5", 258, going to be 22 throughout the season, 7.25 RAS score, had 43 receptions on 59 targets, 418 yards, 9.7 yards per catch, and 3 TDs for them. A 3-year starter at Notre Dame, very solid player. I have a feeling he's just going to be a very solid tight end 3, tight end 2 in the league. Going to be more of a tight end 2 later in his career. Don't know if he has the absolute ceiling to be a difference-making tight end 1, but just a very, very solid guy that you're very comfortable with on your roster, but not kind of your main feature role. Again, just coming to this team, don't know how many snaps he's going to get right away, so kind of brings it down from and I like it to I see the vision. Jimmy Horn Jr., their last pick, the 208th pick, 32nd pick of the 6th round. Again, they got this pick from the Nick Scorton trade up. I like this a lot for them, and I love it, and I like it. A nice value. I think Jimmy Horn Jr. in the 6th is great value. I thought this is someone who could have got early in the kind of early 6th, so getting him in the late 6th, very nice. Very undersized receiver, coming in listed at 5'8", 174, 22.6 age, going to be 23 during the season. Not the best RAS score because of the size, because of the agility testing. Very, very nice deep threat style receiver, though. Like this a lot for them. Had 37 receptions on 53 targets, 441 yards, 1 touchdown, but 11.9 yards per catch. A 2-year starter for them at Colorado. Came over from the American Athletic Conference where he was a first-team kick returner. So, again, add some special teams value for them in terms of returning. And just special teams in general. I expect this guy to be kind of flying as a gunner. Like this pick for them. It's not like insane value. It's not, and I love it. But adding some overall juice to this room that doesn't have a ton of deep threat juice. Adam Thielen, not a deep threat. They drafted Tetterella earlier, not a deep threat. Jalen Coker, not a deep threat. You need some more overall juice and just deep threat ability in this room, Jimmy Horn Jr. perfectly provides that for you. I like this a lot for them. Again, not and I love it, and I like it. I think this was about his value. I don't think he's going to get a ton of playing time early, but he should compete for snaps just because he probably is their best overall deep threat right now. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being their like wide receiver 4, even wide receiver 5 in terms of snap percentage because of that role. In the back end of the 6, I think that's pretty great value for them. Again, like this class overall. I love basically everyone they got, where they got them. Just trading up for Nick Gordon kind of brings down that value. The kind of long-term effects of having to trade up again to get a Prince Umamuelen brings down that grade a tiny bit. Doubling up on edge that early when you really need an outside corner, you really need another safety, brings down those grades a tiny bit, but still love those players. Trevor Etienne in the 4th is a bit early for me, especially considering who's left on the board and their team needs, but don't hate it. Lathan Ransom in the 4th, probably the best safety you're going to be able to get at that spot. It's a good value. I like it for them. Cam Jackson, right around his value, big interior run stuffer type guy. I wanted them to get IDL depth. Getting it in the early part of the 5th, I think it's great for them. Mitchell Evans, don't love drafting a tight end 3 at the spot when you could have got a more impactful player. There's still a couple corners on the outside that I think can come in and maybe not start for you at this point, but at least compete for some significant snaps, a lot more snaps than I think Mitchell Evans will get this year. I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong, but if I am wrong, that means that he's going to be out-snapping Jatavion Sanders, which would be very, very tough for them considering they spent a pick on him last year. And then Jimmy Horn Jr., some juice in a wide receiver room that's lacking a lot of deep juice. So I like it. Think it's a good value for him. Again, I like this class a lot. Just not a ton of steals. They made some trade-ups that I really don't think they had to make. But again, a very just solid class. I like it a lot. A B grade for me, a 3.0283. So not getting super close to a B+, but just a very, very solid B. Now, if you like anything I had to share on today's episode, if you're interested in seeing any more of the content coming out, make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss any of the videos coming out. They're going to be flying out here pretty soon as I try to get more on a set schedule of sending these out, so you guys don't have to wait forever to get through all 32 teams. Thank you guys again for all the love and support. Believe me, it means more than any of you guys could ever really realize. It means a ton when people are, liking, commenting, even if you're not agreeing with me. I love the interaction. I love the discussion. So thank you guys. It's super highly motivating. I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great day.